Sarah sat on the cold bench outside the small grocery store. Her thin jacket could not keep out the biting wind. She looked down at her son, Ayan, who sat quietly beside her, clutching his little worn-out teddy bear. His stomach rumbled softly. Sarah's heart ached. They had not eaten properly for 2 days. Sarah was a young single mother. Life had not been kind to her. Her husband had left them when Ayan was just a baby. Since then, she had done everything to survive and give her son a better life, but money was tight. The little money she earned from cleaning houses was never enough. Today, she had no work. The small room they rented was cold and dark. She could not bear to see Ayan hungry. She wiped a tear from her cheek and took a deep breath. She needed a better job. For her son's sake, she must try. As she walked down the street, she noticed a large, beautiful house on the corner. The garden was green and full of flowers. A tall black gate stood open. She saw a sign next to the gate. James. Estate, hiring nanny. Her heart beat faster. Could this be her chance? Sarah took a deep breath and stepped inside the garden. She looked up at the big house. It was much bigger than any house she had ever seen. She felt nervous but told herself, I can do this. I must do this. Inside, a tall man in a sharp suit stood in the grand hall. His name was Mr. James, the owner of the house and a wealthy businessman. His face was calm but serious. He looked at Sarah as if studying her carefully. Good morning, Sarah said softly. Good morning, Mr. James replied, his voice cool but polite. You came for the nanny job? Yes, sir, Sarah said, trying to sound confident. Mr. James asked her many questions. Do you have experience with children? Can you cook? Can you help with schoolwork? Are you ready to work long hours? Sarah answered honestly. She had cared for children before and could cook simple meals. She was ready to work hard, no matter how long the hours. Mr. James watched her silently. His eyes were sharp and cold. Sarah felt uncomfortable. She wondered if she looked like someone who could handle his important family. After the questions, Mr. James stood and walked toward the door. We will contact you, he said without a smile. Sarah felt her heart sink. She thanked him and left the house quickly. Outside, she took out her phone and saw a message. It was from Mr. James. Please, come tomorrow at 9 a.m. We want you to start. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. She could not believe it. This was her chance to change her life. That night, Sarah lay on the thin mattress in their small room. Ayan was sleeping beside her, breathing softly. Sarah looked at her son's face and made a silent promise. I will protect you. I will never let you go hungry again. But Sarah had a secret. Years ago, before Ayan was born, Sarah had made a mistake that had cost her everything, her family, her friends, her peace. She had been young and scared. She had done something she was not proud of. She had hidden this part of her life from everyone. She feared that if Mr. James found out, he would send her away. She was afraid she would lose this chance. The next morning, Sarah woke early. She dressed in the cleanest clothes she had and tried to smile. When she arrived at the mansion, she saw a beautiful child playing in the garden. She guessed this was Mr. James's daughter. Sarah felt a mix of fear and hope. She walked inside and saw Mr. James waiting for her. Welcome, he said. Your work starts today. Sarah nodded. As she began her first day, she noticed how big the house was. There were many rooms, beautiful paintings and shiny floors. It was like another world. The little girl looked at Sarah with curious eyes. Are you my new nanny? She asked. Sarah smiled gently. Yes, I am. The girl smiled back but seemed quiet. Throughout the day, Sarah took care of the child, cooked meals, cleaned the house, and tried to learn the routine. Mr. James watched her from a distance. Sometimes he gave small instructions. Other times he said nothing at all. Sarah felt the weight of his gaze but stayed strong. She wanted to prove herself. That night, as she sat in her small room away from the big house, Sarah thought about the secret she kept locked inside her heart. Would it come out? Would Mr. James discover the truth? She did not know. But one thing was certain. She would do everything to protect her son and keep this job, no matter the cost. Sarah woke up early the next morning. The sun was just rising, but she was already dressed and ready. Today was her second day working at the mansion. She wanted to do everything perfectly. For Ayan, she needed this job to work. The mansion was quiet and still when she walked through the big front door. The walls were tall, the floors shiny, and the air smelled like fresh flowers. It felt strange, almost like a dream. Sarah still could not believe she was working here. She found the little girl, Emily, in the playroom. Emily was sitting on the floor, drawing pictures with bright crayons. When Emily saw Sarah, she smiled softly but did not say much. Sarah sat down beside her. "Good morning, Emily. What are you drawing?" Emily pointed to the paper. "This is my family," she said quietly. "But Mommy is not here." Sarah's heart tightened. She knew Emily missed her mother. Mr. James had told her once that his wife had died a few years ago. The house felt empty without her. Sarah smiled gently. "That's a nice picture. I'm here to help you." Emily nodded but looked down at her drawing again. Throughout the morning, Sarah tried to make Emily laugh and feel happy. She played games, read stories, and made snacks. But Emily stayed quiet and sometimes looked sad. James appeared in the doorway. He watched Sarah with his usual serious look. He did not smile or speak much, but Sarah could feel his eyes on her. "Everything all right?" he asked shortly. "Yes, sir," Sarah replied quickly. She did not want to disappoint him. Mr. James nodded and left the room. Sarah felt tired but kept going. She cleaned the kitchen, organized Emily's toys, and tried to learn the house's rules. It was hard work. The mansion was big, and there was so much to do. Ayan stayed at a nearby daycare during the day. Sarah missed him, but she knew this was for his future. In the afternoon, Sarah found a photo album on a shelf. She opened it carefully. The pictures showed a happy family, Mr. James, his wife, and Emily as a baby. Sarah saw a photo of a woman who looked kind and gentle. She wondered what happened to her. Suddenly, footsteps came behind her. "Found something interesting?" Mr. James asked, standing quietly. Sarah quickly closed the album. "Just looking," she said, trying to hide her curiosity. Mr. James nodded and walked away. Sarah felt a mix of fear and curiosity. She wanted to know more about the family, but she knew it was not her place. That evening, when Sarah returned to her small room, she felt lonely. The big house was beautiful, but cold. She missed Ayan terribly. She sat on the small bed and pulled out a photo of her and Ayan. She smiled sadly. "I will work hard," she whispered, "for you, my son." But Sarah could not stop thinking about the secret she kept hidden, the mistake from her past that could ruin everything if it came out. The next day, Sarah noticed Mr. James watching her more closely. He seemed to study her every move, but he did not say a word. One afternoon, Emily fell and hurt her knee. Sarah rushed to help her, cleaning the scrape and holding her hand. Emily looked at Sarah with trust for the first time. "Thank you," she whispered. Sarah smiled warmly. "You're safe with me, Emily." Mr. James saw this and nodded slightly. Maybe he was starting to trust Sarah, but Sarah's heart was heavy. She knew the truth about her past could change everything. Would Mr. James accept her if he knew? As the days passed, Sarah worked harder. She learned Emily's likes and dislikes. She helped with homework and made Emily smile more. Still, the mansion held secrets. Late at night, Sarah sometimes heard soft crying from Emily's room. She wished she could fix everything for the little girl. One evening, Sarah was cleaning the study when she found a locked drawer. Her curiosity grew. What was inside? Suddenly, footsteps sounded behind her. "Be careful where you look," a voice said coldly. Sarah turned and saw Mr. James standing there. His eyes were sharp. "I'm sorry, sir," Sarah said quickly. "I was just cleaning." Mr. James looked at her for a moment and then said, "Trust is important here, Sarah. You need to remember that." Sarah nodded. "Yes, sir." She felt the weight of his words. She wanted to earn his trust but feared her secret would come out soon. That night, Sarah sat on the steps outside the mansion. The stars shone above, but she felt alone. Suddenly, her phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. Icky. Are coming for you. You cannot hide forever. Sarah's heart stopped. Her secret was not safe. Someone knew. She looked up at the mansion. Inside were her new life and her son's future. Outside was the past she wanted to forget. Sarah knew one thing. She had to be strong for Ayan, for Emily, for herself. The real test was only beginning. Sarah woke up feeling uneasy. The message from last night was still on her phone. She did not know who sent it or why they wanted to scare her. But she knew one thing. Her past was catching up to her. She got ready for work as usual. Ayan was asleep in the small apartment near the daycare, safe for now. Sarah kissed his forehead and whispered, "Be strong, my son. I will protect you." At the mansion, everything looked normal. The sun was shining, birds sang outside, and Emily was waiting for her with a small smile. Sarah tried to push her fears away and focus on the day ahead. She played with Emily, cooked lunch, and helped her with reading. But in the back of her mind, the threat was real. She kept checking her phone, hoping for no new messages. After lunch, Mr. James called Sarah into his study. Sarah's heart raced. She did not know what to expect. Mr. James sat behind his large desk. His eyes were serious but calm. "I know something is wrong," he said quietly. "You don't have to hide it from me." Sarah shook her head. "No, sir. Everything is fine." Mr. James looked at her for a long moment. "Sarah, I see you care for Emily. But if something is bothering you, you should tell me. We are a family here." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. She wanted to tell him everything, about her struggles, her past mistakes, and the fear that haunted her. But she was afraid. Instead, she said, "Thank you, sir. I just want to do my best." Mr. James nodded. "Good. I will help if I can." After the meeting, Sarah returned to her duties but felt a small weight lift from her chest. Maybe Mr. James was not as cold as she thought. Still, the message haunted her. That evening, when Sarah picked up Ayan from daycare, she saw a strange man watching her. He quickly looked away when she noticed him. Sarah's heart pounded. Was this connected to the message? She hurried home, clutching Ayan's hand tightly. At the small apartment, Sarah locked every door and window. She wanted to protect Ayan at all costs, but sleep did not come easily. She dreamed of dark shadows chasing her and heard whispers calling her name. The next day, Sarah decided to ask Mr. James for help. She needed protection and answers. At the mansion, Sarah found Mr. James in the garden. The sunlight made his face softer. "Sir, I need to tell you something," she began nervously. "Someone from my past is trying to find me. I'm scared for my son and me." Mr. James listened carefully. "You should never be afraid here. We will find out who is threatening you." Sarah felt hope for the first time in weeks. Suddenly, Emily ran to them, laughing. "Look, Sarah, I drew a picture of you and me." Sarah smiled, holding the drawing. It showed two girls holding hands under a bright sun. For a moment, Sarah forgot her fears. But later, when she returned to her room, she found another message on her phone. "You cannot run. The truth will come out." Sarah's hands trembled. What truth? She thought about her secret. A mistake that had forced her to leave everything behind. A mistake that could destroy her chance for a new life. But Sarah knew she could not hide. Forever, she had to be brave. The next day, Sarah saw the strange man again near the daycare. This time, she did not look away. She stood tall and asked, "Why are you following me?" The man's eyes were cold. "You don't belong here. You should leave before it's too late." Sarah did not answer. She held Ayan close and walked away quickly. Back at the mansion, Sarah told Mr. James everything. She showed him the messages and described the man. Mr. James's face turned serious. "This is dangerous, but I will protect you both." That night, Sarah slept with a small knife under her pillow. She felt fear but also strength. Her life was full of shadows, but she was not alone anymore. Emily's laughter, Ayan's smile, and Mr. James's promise gave her hope. Sarah whispered to herself. No matter what comes, I will fight. For my son, for a new beginning. The next morning, Sarah woke early. The house was quiet except for soft footsteps from the staff. She felt a strange mix of calm and worry. She looked at Ayan sleeping peacefully in his small room. He did not know how dangerous things had become. For him, life was still simple, a mother's love and safety. Sarah sat down at the kitchen table, her hands shaking slightly as she drank her tea. Her phone buzzed again. Another message. The past will not stay hidden. Be ready. Sarah's heart. Blink. She knew the past she tried to forget was about to catch up in a way she never imagined. At the mansion, Mr. James was waiting for her in his office when she arrived. Good morning, Sarah, he said. We have called a private investigator. He will help us find who is threatening you. Sarah felt grateful but also scared. The walls around her were closing in. Later, Sarah met the investigator, a sharp-eyed man named Mark. He promised to be discreet and careful. Tell me everything, Mark said. No detail is too small. Sarah took a deep breath and started to tell her story. She spoke of the mistakes she made in the past. A bad decision to trust the wrong people. The lost job. The danger that followed her. She told him about her son and her hope for a better future. Mark listened without judgment. We will find your enemies and stop them. Days passed slowly. Sarah continued working as nanny, caring for Emily, and watching over Ayan. One afternoon, Sarah found a letter in her room. It was old and folded, with no name. She opened it carefully. Inside, the words made her freeze. You ran away, you left us, but you cannot hide from the truth. Sarah's hands trembled. The letter was from her family, the ones she left behind. She had thought they forgot her, but now she knew they wanted her back. She folded the letter and hid it in her drawer. Sarah's mind raced. If Mr. James knew about her family, would he still trust her? She decided to keep this secret a little longer. That evening, Sarah took Emily to the park. Emily laughed and played, unaware of the storm around her. Mr. James watched them from a distance. He noticed how Sarah cared for the children, her gentle nature, and how much she loved Ayan. He started to feel a deep respect for her, more than just an employee. But secrets were not easy to hide. One night, Mark called Sarah. We found something. The man following you is linked to your family. They want to control you. Sarah's heart pounded. Why? I left them because they were dangerous. Mark was silent for a moment. It's more complicated. They think you have something. Money, information, or power. Sarah shook her head. I have nothing, just my son. Mark's voice was firm. Be careful. They will try to take him too. Sarah felt tears burn in her eyes. She held Ayan close and promised herself she would protect him no matter what. Days. Later, Sarah noticed strange cars near the mansion. She told Mr. James. He ordered security to watch closely. Sarah's world was full of danger, but also hope. Emily smiled. Ayan laughed, and Mr. James stood by her side. But the shadows of the past were growing darker. Sarah whispered to herself, I must stay strong. For my son, for the future. Sarah woke up early again. The fear was heavy in her chest, but she tried to stay calm. Every day brought new worries. Every night brought restless dreams. She looked at Ayan sleeping beside her. He was innocent and unaware of the danger lurking close. Sarah's heart ached. She wanted to protect him with all her strength. At the mansion, Sarah was more careful than ever. She watched every stranger, every shadow. Emily's laughter brought light to the dark days, but even that sometimes felt like a distant memory. One afternoon, as Sarah walked Emily to the playground, she noticed a man sitting alone on a bench, watching them closely. She felt a chill run down her spine. Sarah didn't know who he was, but she could feel the threat in his eyes. She quickly grabbed Emily's hand and walked away. Later that day, Sarah received a call from Mark, the private investigator. We found something important, he said. The man following you is part of a group connected to your family. They want something from you, something hidden. Sarah's hands trembled. What do they want? Mark paused. We don't know exactly yet, but they are dangerous. You must be careful. Sarah felt her world closing in. The secret she carried was more powerful than she thought. That evening, Sarah sat with Mr. James in his office. She told him everything. The letters, the threats, the mysterious men. Mr. James listened carefully. You're not alone, Sarah. We will protect you and your son. Sarah felt a flicker of hope, but also knew the fight was far from over. The next day, strange things began happening at the mansion. Doors were found unlocked. Objects moved. Someone was inside watching. Sarah's fear grew. She told the security team to be alert. One night, Sarah was woken by a noise outside her room. She quietly looked through the window and saw a shadow disappearing. Into the dark, her heart pounded. The danger was closer than ever. The next morning, Sarah found a small box on the doorstep. Inside was a photo of Ayan, taken when he was playing in the park. A cold wave of terror swept over her. Someone was threatening her son. Sarah ran to Mr. James. They have Ayan in their sights. We must act now. Mr. James nodded. I will. Call the police and increase security. Sarah held her son close, tears streaming down her face. She whispered, I will never let them hurt you. Days turned into nights filled with fear and hope. Sarah knew she had to face the past, no matter how painful. For her son, for Emily, for herself, the secret she hid was coming to light, and only courage could protect them all. The mansion was no longer a safe place. Sarah felt the walls closing in on her. Every sound made her jump. Every shadow felt like a threat. But she had no choice. She had to be strong, for Ayan and for Emily. One evening as the family sat down, for dinner, Mr. James spoke softly. Sarah, it's time to tell me the full truth, he said. His eyes were kind but serious. Sarah looked down, her hands trembling. She knew this moment was coming. Taking a deep breath, she began. I left my family because they were dangerous, she said. They wanted control over me and my son. I had to run to protect Ayan. Mr. James listened closely. Sarah continued. I kept this secret to keep my son safe, but now they have found us. She told him about the letters, the threats, and the men watching her. Mr. James reached out and took her hand. You did the right thing by telling me. We will face this together. Sarah felt tears in her eyes. For the first time, she did not feel alone. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. The house fell silent. Mr. James stood and opened the door. Outside was an older woman, tired but determined. She stepped inside and looked directly at Sarah. I am your aunt, she said quietly. I came to help. Sarah was shocked. Why now, after all these years? Her aunt explained she had left the dangerous family long ago and wanted to protect Sarah and Ayan. I have information, she said. Your family is planning something. Bigger? You must leave before it's too late. Mr. James nodded. We will keep you safe, but we must act fast. The next day, Sarah, Ayan, Emily, Mr. James, and her aunt packed to leave the mansion. Before they left, Sarah looked at the place that had been her home and battlefield. She whispered, This is not the end. It's a new beginning. As they drove away, Sarah felt a mix of fear and hope. She knew the journey ahead was dangerous, but with truth and courage, she could protect her son and find peace. Sarah sat quietly in the car, holding Ayan's hand tightly. The city lights blurred past as they drove away from the mansion, the place that had been her shelter and prison. Her heart was heavy, but for the first time in a long while, she felt a spark of hope. Mr. James drove carefully, his eyes on the road, but his thoughts with Sarah and her family. Her aunt sat beside her, whispering calm words of comfort. Sarah looked at Ayan, his small face peaceful even in the strange new place. She smiled softly. We will be okay, she whispered. Days passed and the new home was small but safe. Sarah found a fresh strength inside her. She spent her days caring for Ayan and Emily, and slowly, she began to dream again. One afternoon, Mr. James invited Sarah to his office. We have new plans, he said. to make sure your past can never hurt you or Ayan again. Sarah looked at him with gratitude. We will work together. You don't have to be afraid anymore. Sarah nodded. She felt tears in her eyes, tears of relief and hope. Then, something unexpected happened. One evening, as Sarah and Ayan played, in the yard a letter arrived. It was from her family, but different this time. The letter said they wanted peace and forgiveness. Sarah stared at the words, unsure what to feel. She turned to Mr. James. Should I answer? He smiled gently. That's your choice, Sarah, but remember you are not alone anymore. Sarah took a deep breath and folded the letter. She knew forgiveness would take time and courage, but she was ready to face whatever came next, because she was no longer just a scared mother. She was a woman who had survived storms, found love, and discovered her own strength. Sarah looked at Ayan and whispered, "This is our new beginning," and for the first time in a long time she truly believed it.